So today we're going to do the fourth part of my basic tap steps series. This is going to cover steps that we would do in the center. Last time I covered steps that would be taken across the floor, so this is going to be like the rest of the basic steps that I teach in my class that are center, that I consider like things you need to know right off the bat. So yeah, let's get started. The first step that we are going to learn is what I like to tell people is the easiest step to learn and the hardest step to master. I still, to this day, stress out over this step just to make sure at certain speeds and at certain tempos that I get it perfectly clean, perfectly even. But to learn this step, it's actually really easy. It's called a cramp roll. Now this is not one of those steps that has the same number of syllables as it does sounds. This is a 4-sound step, but it only has 2 syllables in cramp roll, so it's fine. No, you will not get a cramp by doing it. I actually do get asked that a lot. So people are like, a cramp roll? That sounds like something I'd do in acro and then hurt myself. And I'm like, well, that may be something you would do in acro. Maybe something I would do in acro. But no, it is 4 sounds, super easy. Step, step, heel, heel. That's it. And as we learned in the first video, we already know those steps. That's the best part about that first video, is that you now know every component of the steps until things get really advanced. And then I'm like, oh, by the way, use the side of your tap going this way. And you're like, wait, what? Well, that wasn't on the basic steps tutorial. So a cramp roll, you have step, which has no heels, just your toe, up on the right, and then step left, and that brings you up here. And now you're going to drop your right heel, and then drop your left heel. That's the whole thing. It's step, step, heel, heel. Whatever foot you start with your step is the first heel that goes down in a regular cramp roll, which is all we're going to talk about today. So we have step, step, heel, heel. That's it. So left foot, let's try it. Left, right, left, right. 5, 6, 7, 8. Left, right, left, right. Now you're probably thinking, that was really easy. How does that even get harder? And it's doing it at fast speeds and keeping that, or as fast as, and keeping it nice and even. Because we tend to let gravity take over and we start dropping heels too early, or we miss something, and it's hard to master a cramp roll. I make a joke that my tap company, the whole audition is just cramp rolls. We're like, all right, let's see them. That's the whole audition. It's a joke. It's not really how I do it, but like I'm so adamant about people continuously working on their cramp rolls, just because this is one of those steps that you just will not ever master until way later. And again, I still stress out about it. I'm like, oh, there's left cramp rolls coming up. And then I have to stress because I'm like, I need to make sure it's da-da-da-da instead of da-da-da-da, you know? Only tap dancers, I go da-da-da-da, and you're like, oh yeah. So step, step, heel, heel. So let's do it one more time. 5, 6, 7, right foot. Step, step, heel, heel. All right, left foot. 5, 6, 7, 8. Step, step, heel, heel. And that is a cramp roll. So the next step that we're going to learn is like a shuffle, but it's a scuffle. It's not one of the ones that people would consider a basic step, but because it's so similar to a cramp roll, or not a cramp roll, so similar to a shuffle, and so similar to the step I'm going to teach you after this, I figure why not include it? Because it's already made up of components that you know. That's the best part. So it's a scuff and a brush. That's it. So you scuff. Let's take your right foot. Yeah, I'll face this side. So let's take your right foot and you're going to scuff it forward. Just your heel. So scuff is just the heel going in a downward pendulum swing. In this case, it looks like it's forward. And then from here, you take your toe and brush it back up. So you have scuff, brush, scuff, brush. It's a lot like a shuffle, which is brush, brush, but the first movement you're only using your heel, and the second movement you're using your toe. It's simple enough to teach on a fundamentals video, I feel. So scuff, and then switch it to brush back. Let's try the other foot. So we have scuff, brush, scuff, brush, scuff, brush. Okay, so that is a scuffle. It's called a scuffle because it's like a shuffle, but it starts with a scuff. So, and you hear the timbre difference. It's like treble, treble, and bass treble. Shuffle, scuffle. It's a subtle difference, but it's there. So the next thing we're going to learn is a scuffle step. Just like with the shuffle progression, we did shuffle, shuffle step, and shuffle ball change. We're going to do scuffle, scuffle step, scuffle ball change. So you have a scuffle, and then you step, and all of your weight goes on it. So your left foot is now free to go scuffle, step, scuffle, step, scuffle, step. This would be one of those times when it would be extremely useful to have a bar or something to hold on to. Like if I were to hold on to my mantle, it would be scuffle, step, scuffle, step. The same thing would go for a scuffle ball change. So remember, a ball change goes step back, step front. So we have, well, it's not technically a back front. Let me just back pedal real quick. It's change your weight, change your weight. Typically, it's a step back, step front when you're doing a ball change, but you can do a ball change to the side. You can do a ball change diagonally. You can do a ball change right next to each other. It's a changing of the weight on the balls of your feet. So you have scuffle, ball change. And now your right foot would be free again to go scuffle, ball change. So let's try the left foot. We have scuffle, ball change. Scuffle, ball change. So that's scuffle, scuffle step, and scuffle ball change. All in one video. And again, it seems simple enough to include because it's all stuff you've already learned based on the basics video, the little components video. All right, so we have 2 more steps to learn, and that's it. Okay, so this step is probably my favorite step in all of tap dance. I use it in every dance. I've used it for every improv that I've ever done. It is called a paradiddle. And this is another one of those words that has multiple uses because a paradiddle is also something that you do as a drummer. It's a specific sticking pattern. In tap, it is a very, very specific step. It can also have 2 different names. We'll talk about that in a second. It is made up of 4 components that you already know. So you have dig, so the heel just goes on the floor. Brush, or actually no, spank. Sorry, because a spank comes from the floor and your toe is up, your heel is on the floor. It is dig, spank. So you have dig and then spank. So just do that one more time. We have dig, spank. Now your foot's up, you have step, which is just on the toe. If you remember that step is just on the toe. And you have the beginning of a weight transfer, and then you drop your heel for the last step. So it's dig, spank, step, heel. Those are your 4 parts. Dig, spank, step, heel. Now your left foot, because you've transferred your weight because it was a step, your left foot is now free to try it. Dig, spank, step, heel. Now one of the things that you want to avoid is pointing your foot. Do not point your foot in paradiddle. It's not flex as hard as you can, point as hard as you can, because what happens when you go to step? You get that, and then there's a time delay. You're not going to be able to get it nice and relaxed. This is a very relaxed step. You should be able to just chill, relax, be light on your feet with these. So you have dig, spank, step, heel. Dig, spank, step, heel. Paradiddle. One of those cool ones that have as many sounds as there are syllables in the word. So cool. So let's do 2 more. Right and then left. 5, 6, 7, 8. Dig, spank, step, heel. Dig, spank, You've learned paradiddles. The last thing that we're gonna do is technically called shuffle, step, heel, but I actually call it shuffle diddle. It's easier for me to remember, and because I do it in patterns a lot of the time with paradiddles, going paradiddle, paradiddle, shuffle, diddle, stamp makes a lot more sense to me and the people that do my choreography. But technically it's called a shuffle, step, heel. Or in my class, a shuffle diddle. So we're gonna do shuffles to the side for this one. Because remember, shuffles can go any which direction. It's a downward pendulum swing and then back up. So you have shuffle, which is 2 brushes, 1 down, 1 up, and then step, and then drop your heel, just like a paradiddle. So then your left foot's free to try it. Brush, brush, step, heel. So let's try to put them like in a nice rhythm. Brush, brush, step, heel. Brush, brush, step, heel. 5, 6, 7, 8. Brush, brush, step, heel. Brush, brush, step, heel. And then your right foot would be free. Okay? So that was a lot. We learned a good amount today. We learned cramp rolls, we learned scuffles, scuffle steps, and scuffle ball change. And then you learned paradiddle and shuffle, step, heel, or as I like to call it, shuffle diddle. So I'm going to review those steps with you super quick. The cramp roll, it goes step, step, heel, heel. And then the scuffle, you scuff and then brush. And then a scuffle step is scuff, brush, step to change your weight. And then this foot would be free. And then there's scuffle ball change. Scuff, brush, step, change your weight, step, change your weight on the balls of your feet. So you have scuff, brush, ball, change. So let's try it on the left, just reviewing it. Scuff, brush, ball, change. And then that foot would be free again. Now there's 2 more left. There's paradiddle and shuffle, step, heel. Paradiddle is dig, spank, step, heel. Dig, spank, step, heel. Dig, spank, step, heel. And then lastly, shuffle, step, heel. Shuffle, step, heel. Same exact second part as a paradiddle. The same last 2 things, the step, heel. But instead of going dig, spank, you have brush, brush. So you have brush, brush, step, heel, brush, brush, step, heel. And that does it for my 4 video series on basic tap steps. So hopefully you've done all 4 videos and you've learned all of these basic steps that you will now get to use in choreography. You'll get to expand upon them because all of these steps have these are like the Charmander version of the step, and then there's like Charmeleon versions, and then there's like Charizard versions, and then there's shiny Charizard versions. So it progresses. Every step progresses into something more exciting, more difficult, more challenging. But they all start here. They all start with that first video: the brush, the step, the toe, the heel, the scuff, the spank, the everything. So it all starts from these basic steps, and that's why it's so important that you have a basic foundation, and I hope that I've been able to help with that today. So thank you, as always, for dancing with me.